The emergency beacon crackled through the static as Liana's research vessel, the Meridian, limped toward the uncharted planet's surface. Her hands moved with practiced precision across the control panel, despite the ship's violent shuddering. The hull breach in Sector 7 had sealed itself with emergency foam, but the navigation systems were fried, and landing protocols were running on backup power. "Come on, old girl," she whispered to her ship, adjusting the descent angle. "Just get us down in one piece." The planet below showed a patchwork of dense forests and crystalline formations that caught the light of twin suns. According to her damaged scanners, the atmosphere was breathable, barely. Oxygen levels sat at the minimum threshold for human survival, but it would have to do. The landing was rougher than Liana had hoped. The Meridian carved a deep furrow through what appeared to be a meadow of bioluminescent grass before coming to rest against a cluster of towering spiral-shaped trees. Steam hissed from the cooling engines as she ran through her post-crash checklist. Life support, functional but limited. Communications, completely dead. Food supplies, enough for maybe 2 weeks if she rationed carefully. Water recycling, operational. The situation was grim, but Liana had survived worse during her 15 years as a deep space explorer. She gathered her essential gear, portable scanner, plasma cutter, medical kit, and her father's old sidearm, and stepped out onto alien soil. The air tasted metallic, tinged with something that reminded her of ozone after a lightning strike. In the distance, she could see smoke rising from what might have been a settlement. The trek through the strange forest revealed wonders at every turn. The spiral trees hummed with a low harmonic frequency, their bark shifting through a spectrum of blues and purples. Creatures that looked like a cross between butterflies and jellyfish drifted between the branches, trailing ribbons of light. But it was the complete absence of any large fauna that began to trouble her as she walked. The settlement, when she finally reached it, took her breath away. Structures that seemed grown rather than built rose from the forest floor, organic, curves and flowing lines that spoke of a completely non-human aesthetic. But what truly shocked her were the inhabitants. They were humanoid but clearly alien, tall and willowy with elongated limbs and faces that held an ethereal beauty. Their skin had a faint luminescent quality, shifting between pale green and silver, and their large eyes held depth that seemed to reflect starlight. All of them, she realized with growing alarm, were female. The moment they spotted her, the reaction was explosive. A piercing alarm, if it could be called that, rang through the settlement. It sounded more like a song of hunger mixed with desperate longing. The alien women began gathering around her in increasing numbers, their movements predatory despite their graceful appearance. Liana raised her hands in what she hoped was a universal gesture of peace. "I'm not here to harm anyone. My ship crashed. I just need—" Her words were cut short as one of the aliens lunged forward, her mouth opening to reveal rows of needle-sharp teeth. Liana barely managed to dodge, rolling to the side as clawed hands swept through the space where her head had been. The plasma cutter came to life in her hands with a brilliant orange glow. The sound caused several of the aliens to pause, their heads tilting with curiosity rather than fear. Liana used the moment to back toward a cluster of the grown structures, trying to put something solid between herself and the increasingly agitated crowd. "Stay back!" she shouted, sweeping the plasma cutter in a wide arc. "I don't want to hurt anyone, but I will defend myself." An alien who seemed older than the others, her skin bearing intricate patterns that pulsed with soft light, stepped forward. When she spoke, it was in accented but understandable English. "Male," the alien said, the word carrying weight and desperation. "You smell of male. Where is he?" Liana's mind raced. Male? Did they think she was traveling with? Understanding dawned as she thought of her ship, her equipment, everything that would carry the scent of the various male crew members she'd worked with over the years. "There is no male with me," Liana said carefully. "I'm alone. My ship is damaged, and lies." Another alien shrieked. "Male scent strong, you hide him." The crowd pressed closer and Liana saw something that chilled her blood. These weren't just hostile aliens, they were starving. Not for food, but for something else entirely. Their eyes held the desperate hunger of creatures who had been denied a basic need for far too long. "How long?" Liana asked the elder alien. "How long since you've seen a male of your species?" 105 rotations of the twin suns, came the reply, heavy with grief. The males, they grew sick. A plague that took only them. We have waited, preserved ourselves, hoped that others would come from the stars. The pieces clicked together in Liana's mind. A species facing extinction, driven to desperation by over a century without males. No wonder they had reacted so violently to detecting what they thought was a male presence. But the situation was still dangerous. The crowd was getting larger and more agitated. Several of the younger aliens looked ready to attack despite the plasma cutter in her hands. "I understand your desperation," Liana said, her voice carrying across the gathered crowd. "But I'm not what you think I am. I'm human, a different species entirely. I can't help you the way you hope." The elder alien's expression crumpled. "Then you will die here. We cannot let you leave with the male scent. It drives us to madness." Liana's grip tightened on her weapon. She had two options: fight her way out against impossible odds or find another solution. Her years of exploration had taught her that understanding was often more powerful than violence. "What if I told you there might be hope?" she said. "Not with me, but I know of human colonies, other species who have faced similar problems. My people are explorers, scientists. If I can repair my ship's communications, I might be able to call for help." A murmur ran through the crowd. The elder alien raised her hand for silence. "You would do this? Help a dying race?" Liana thought of her father, who had taught her that exploration was about more than just discovery. It was about connection, about building bridges between different forms of life. "That's what humans do," she said simply. "We help." The plasma cutter powered down as she lowered it. Around her, the alien women began to step back, hope replacing hunger in their ancient eyes. The path to survival wouldn't be easy for either of them, but it was a path they could walk together. In the distance, the Meridian waited for repairs, its communication array holding the promise of contact with the wider galaxy, and perhaps salvation for a dying race.